So here guys, we've got a skull of the early man, and this is Australopithecus, which you can see there. And then we've got Homo habilis. Yes, this is Homo habilis, one of the early men. And here we've got Kenyapithecus. And then we have Kawe man, who was found in Kawe and is called broken human. So knowledge in the village is actually shared from grandparents, to granddaughters, just by them sitting you down in this kind of shelter, which is called insaka. Then we have Cicero. Guys, this is a guy that was actually tasked to construct a rail line from the Cape Town in South Africa up to the Cairo in Egypt. So that was a strategy by the English people to make sure that they can transport all the minerals to their countries easily. Hi guys, in today's video I'm actually going to be showing you a bit of what you can find at the Lusaka Museum right here in Zambia. And if you're new to my channel, consider subscribing and also turn on that bell notification so that whenever I do post a new video, you don't miss any single upload. So on the ground floor of this beautiful museum, you find there's an exhibition going on of Scotawina, who we call the last man standing, and it's because of he is the only surviving minister from the first cabinet, this cabinet which was formulated by Kaunda. Scotawina was actually one of the freedom fighters here in Zambia, and he served for quite a long time, and of course here we've got some of his suits that he was wearing during that time, those old days. And so there's just a bit of history of him here on the ground floor. So the first thing that you see here is the archaeology gallery. So you can see it's the human adaptation and development in Zambia. And these are the early men. You can see the Australopithecus there. Some of you guys have learned that Homo habilis, in school. Homo erectus, you can see there. So many, so many of these people. Homo sapiens, of course. So this is the bit where they show you the development of a human. Okay, so let's take you down there and show you a bit of the skull of these people, because they're being kept in this museum. So here we've got Australopithecus, and here we've got Homo habilis. Okay, Homo habilis, and then we've got another one called Kenyapithecus, because this one was discovered in Kenya. And then here we've got our own Kawe man, who is called broken human, was actually discovered in Kawe. Okay, this is a broken human, is called Kawe man. Okay, he was discovered by some miners in Kawe, right here in the central part of Zambia. Okay, so that's the human development basically in Africa, because like you can see the Kenyapithecus there. Now on this other side you find the tools, or should I say the making of tools, which these early men, the methods of making tools which were used by the early men. And you can see this is a more of a statue of one of the early men making tools. So they're quite different methods, and these are the ones that are being shown here. There's direct percussion, yes, direct percussion, indirect, and all the other. There's pressure, yeah. So they've all these methods that they were using, of course, and some of their methods you can see, like this one is still making here, and this picture actually depicts the life which these early men actually experienced, or how they were living. And you can tell from this picture, it has a lot of stories here, guys. Like you can see some woman coming from fetching firewood there, you can see, and you can see a man, a hunter there, coming with some animal. And here we've got stone tools. You see, these are the tools which they were making, and this is stone tools development, from stages to stages. And here we've got a beautiful curve, and these early men, this is how they used to live. You can see there a beautiful fire is actually lighting up, and you could sit around. Now there's a reason why they put fire near the entrance. This will be to scare off some animals, such as the lions, and other dangerous animals, snakes, So yeah, that's about it. And beautiful curves. We'll still have some curves which are still existing right now in Zambia. Of course, nobody lives there, but they're just there for they're just being preserved, you know what I mean. And these are some tools, after some development, of course, they started making such kind of tools, which you can see in here. Okay, beautiful tools, guys. Okay, and then this is basically the spread. This is a map showing the spread of the Bantu, from Niger down there, and mostly in Congo, and later on we had the Lubarunda Kingdom in Congo, and this actually spread a lot of people from all over Africa, yeah. And then this side we've got the making of a nation. So this is the section where they're actually talking about how Zambia became a nation. So that is from independence, and who was the first Republican president, the second Republican president, third and fourth, and yeah, and things alike. So we've got everything here. For example, you can see here we've got the fourth, fifth, and but first we've got the first Republican president, and this was Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, and that was his suit which he used to wear. Very nice suit. He loved khaki, and there's actually a statue that has been unveiled at Long Acres Mall, and he was wearing this kind of suit, and you can see his shoes there. Make sure that you watch my video as well about that statue, a beautiful history. Check it out. It will pop up at the end of this video, guys. And here we've got Frederick Titus Chiluba, FTJ. He was a second Republican president. He took over from Kaunda, and he was the first. And we've got Mwanawasa there, and we've got also Lupia Bwezani-Banda. We've got the most loved president at that time. He was Michael Chilufya-Sata. And then we've got ECL, Edgar Chagwa Lungu there, who was actually the 60th Republican president of Zambia. And so some space here will be created for the incumbent, who is actually President Hakainde Hichilema. Okay. Here we've got some of the things that have been used from a long time ago, during the slave time and stuff like that. Okay, so you can see the Lozi costumes there. And we've got this beautiful Zambian map, tribal and linguistic. So you get to see that a bit of the copper belt of Zambia is actually dominated by the Lamba people. These are the people that settled here before everybody else, and the area is actually dominated by them. And what is interesting that is on the northern part, you will be able to see that Zambia also have people that speak Swahili. Okay, like up on the northern part of Zambia, and these other tribes. Okay, and here these are some of the, just for these, what you can see here, these were precious things, and some leaders would exchange you would go into slavery because of some leader who wanted some of those things, just some beads, and stuff like that. And here it shows the capture and transportation of slaves. You can see how they were kept there, how our forefathers were actually kept right there, and how they were being transported. Um, it was a sorry sight, guys. If you look at that, and down there you can see the big boat, which was actually used now to transport them from Africa to the other parts of the world. And of course there were a bit of people that were against it, and so you can see there's a history here. Yeah, and then here we've got missionaries. Now in Zambia, before that, in Africa mainly before these, we had quite a number of our own beliefs. Okay, and then we prayed, and we had done other beliefs, like I've said it. And then the missionary came with the news about Jesus. Of course we had our own, like I have said, but the missionaries brought their own Bible to us, and you can see that we had a lot of missionaries, like Lumezi missionary, the London missionary. We had quite a number, St. Francis, and all these other missionary which were stationed dotted around Zambia, But of course, what is interesting is that a lot of people think that missionary, you can see this is the African Bible here, which we are using. So it is basically some quotes from different, beliefs. Yeah, so a lot of people think that missionaries were actually spies, were acting as spies. They came to spy on us and make sure that they knew where the minerals were, and so that they can communicate to their masters. Yeah, maybe that's true, but yeah. So there were quite many missionaries, like the Church of Scotland, the Reformed Church, missionary, there were quite many, the White Fathers, there were quite a lot of these missionaries which were dotted around Zambia, guys. And then here we have, the John Cecil Rhodes. Now, this is a man who was tasked to actually build a rail line from the Cape Town in South Africa to Egypt, so that the British can actually have an easy access to the African minerals, and they did. And that's why you find that a lot of these other European countries were developed through these minerals, which they wanted to be able to collect from Africa. Even if this rail line wasn't successful, they used other means to transport our copper, our minerals, to their parts, to their countries, that is, So this is the BSSL rule, that is the British South African colony, and all the countries in Southern Africa were under this. But here we've got our own army. This is the Barotse um, uh, army, and they were the soldiers in those days, you know. And then you can see the guns which were used. This big gun here was actually used by our old army during the First World War, of course, and yeah, other times. Alright, now in this section, guys, it actually tells a story of a typical Zambian village. Okay, what you can see here in this section is these are houses made of mud. These are actually grass thatched houses. You can tell, and in most Zambian rural areas you'll be able to find these. You can see the women, coming from the river, from fetching water. Others are washing in the same river. Now, we believe that because river waters in the rivers are actually flowing, so you can drink the water there. You can as well as use it for washing right in the same river. So we believe it's clean always. Okay. I don't know how you guys do it in your African villages, but that's how we do it here. And you can see how beautiful this setup is. And you can see here the grandfather, speaking to his grandsons. Now, in Africa, knowledge in the old days has been passed down from the grandfathers to their granddaughters or sons in this particular way. This is where your grandfather would sit you down in this kind of a shelter, and they would be telling you stories. They will be passing knowledge to you through their experience, so that you don't need to go through what they had gone through, so knowledge is commonly passed down in these kind of shelters. These are called insaka in Bemba. I don't know other tribes what they call it, or in other African languages, but mostly in Africa, this is how knowledge is shared, discipline is shared. And sometimes we have chiefs and we have traditional leaders. When somebody commits an offense, they will take you to some kind of insaka, and where they can judge. And yeah, and here you can see the big men are working, making some tools, and making some firewood, and you can see the mother here actually preparing some grains for food, making it ready to be edible and stuff. But you can see on top there's some fish which is drying, some maize which is drying. So these African shelters mainly are also used to, for those purposes. So you can put your things up there and let them dry, peacefully, without it being stolen by some animals. Okay, so you can see there are a lot of them there. Grains are drying on the other side. You've got fish there which is drying. I think this is good. Now, this reminds me of my village, like my village. You can see actually here we've got some girls that are pounding some, this is cassava, I think. They're trying to make meal of cassava. Okay, and of course here we've got a curve. But this is how the Zambian typical village looks like. this side we've got a section of where you find ethnography, and ethnography is basically here they are actually displaying where we are right now, the tools that we are using. As you can see, we've got these kind of tools for agricultural implements. You know, they've got such kind of tools which are now used. There's a plow here, you can see. Yeah, these are kind of modern somehow. Yes, kind of modern. So you can see these beautiful tools, but mainly of course these are used in the villages. And you can see some carriers here, like ulupe, you know. I don't know what you call that in your languages, guys. Ulupe, what's that in your language? Ulupe is something that they use to carry things on the head, and also to separate certain things, some grains on it, you know. And then here we've got a bit of other tools that are also used by our women at home, you know, in our African tradition homes, guys. You can see beautiful things here, some beautiful tools. And then here on top you can see these are the, you know, some traditional masks which come from different parts of Zambia. I can see the makishi there, the makishi man. I can see some ngoni man, and these masks, guys, they're scary, but yeah, you don't need to be scared when you see somebody dressed like this at some traditional function. Okay, yeah, so you can see Inambunda mask, Chikuza mask. So they're all different type of masks which are worn by these. These are mainly from the western part of Zambia. Okay, yes. So these guys, there's a lot that you can actually find at this particular museum. It's a beautiful museum. I don't know, is it supposed to be called museum, because I'm used with a museum, so I'm a Zambian. Okay, and here we've got some traditional drums, some traditional beautiful drums, guys. The sound coming from these are actually used for communication purposes. They've been used for communication purposes in the past, and in some parts, of course, people still use them to give a signal that something has happened. These are the drums which you can see for communication. Yes. Then here on this wall, we've got the Mailoni Brothers history, a legacy of terror. Now, these were three brothers who actually went on rampage, you know, killing people in the central part of Zambia, in an area called Lueno, which is not very far from Lusaka. These guys decided to become serial killers, like you call them, serial killers. You know, they started killing people in the villages, and there was a manhunt for them. A lot of police officers went there, but of course, you know, in Africa we believe, or in some you know, some magical things, like these guys were not, the police officers that went there were not able to catch them, because they believe that they had some juju, you know, of some sort, and they couldn't be arrested. But you can see these are the three guys, and here there's a picture of two of them with their mother, and yeah, so there's a lot of history here on the wall about them, and how they were later on killed by the police officers, and how they managed to kill them at the end of it. Okay, guys, so I hope you've enjoyed the video from start to finish, but make sure that you subscribe to the channel, turn on that bell notification, so that whenever I post a new video, you won't miss any single upload. Okay, so this has been Samson, and you're watching Adventures with Samson here at the Lusaka Museum. Thank you so much. Take care of yourselves. I'll see you in my next video, but give this video a like, guys. It helps.
You know? Yeah, let's go.